Imagine if you one day found yourself reincarnated as a child of a famous celebrity with your previous life memories intact. What would you do if you found your family in the middle of a large conspiracy that placed them in danger? What would you be willing to do in order to defend the happy future for yourself and your family? The story begins with a man explaining how prevalent lies and deception are in our world, and compares it to an avid fan with their idol. More specifically, a rising idol group called Komachi, led by I. They've been gradually gaining more recognition with the public, and the man, a medical practitioner, is excited to follow their journey with them, but he is shocked by the news that I has taken a break due to illness. As the nurse questions his obsession with such young girls, he reminisces about a past patient of his, named Serena, who was a fervent fan of I and Komachi. She wonders what it would be like to be reborn as a celebrity's offspring with both looks and connections. The doctor advises her to not dwell on rebirth and encourages her to become an idol instead after leaving the hospital, promising to become her fan. Unfortunately, Serena succumbs to her illness and passes at the young age of 12. The doctor concludes that he might be obsessed with I because he subconsciously superimposes I and Serena in his mind. However, his nurse suspects his motive is impure, accusing him to be a lolicon. He heads back to work, and he meets with a pregnant patient, but upon her removing her cap, he immediately recognizes her as I. He excuses himself to prepare for her examination, but is left bewildered by I's pregnancy. When her guardian questions the identity of the father, I insists it's a secret. Following the examination, the doctor confirms that I is 20 weeks into her pregnancy with twins. Her guardian is also the president of their agency, and he expresses worry that any news about I's condition would have dire consequences for both her career and the company. I seeks the doctor's guidance, but he insists that she must make her own decision regarding whether to keep the babies. In the lobby, he overhears two men discussing rebirth and celebrities having children, along with their distaste to stand female idols that have kids. He ponders their ideologies while gazing at a photo of Serena on the rooftop. At that moment, I arrives, and he inquires whether she came to this rural hospital to evade the public. At her surprise, he states a past patient was a huge fan of hers, and I admit she didn't expect anyone to know her here. She discloses her strong desire for a family, having never had one before. But she doesn't want to give up being an idol, so she plans to keep her situation hidden. I reflects on the nature of idols, who are worshipped and glorified through lies. They deceive the crowd by smiling on stage, but she longs for genuine happiness, both as an idol and as a mother. Seeing her resolve, the doctor assures I that he will help her safely birth healthy children, because as her fan, he also wants her to be happy. Later, he warns her she might need a C-section, which will result in scars, but I is confident she can handle a natural delivery. Afterward, they continue to monitor her condition until finally, the expected delivery date arrived. The doctor promises to come back when he gets her call and begins his trek home, but suddenly, a hooded figure appears behind him, asking about I. The man stated her full name, which makes him suspicious as her last name was never disclosed to the public. The man runs off, and the doctor chases after, but after losing sight of him, it gives the man a chance to push him off the cliff. The doctor's phone then starts to ring, and he wonders if I is in labor. He wants to fulfill his promise to her, but his body won't listen to him. In his final moments, he reflects on Serena's words about rebirth, as he's never considered it seriously until now, since there was no need to. The doctor has died, but when he became aware, he somehow ended up reincarnated as I's son, Aquamarine. He's very confused about how this happened, and why he retains his memories, but he plans to figure it out in the future. For now, he enjoys being pampered by I until his twin sister, Ruby, takes away her attention. I's guardian, President Saito Ichigo, then enters the room and calls her out for her inability to remember names, as she mixes up even the twins frequently. He lets I know about Komachi's comeback plan, starting with a live performance later that night. His wife, Miyako, will be watching the kids, but I wonders if she could bring them to the studio with her. The president refuses, as no one can know about her having children, and if I is seen publicly with them, she must say that they are his children. Later, while I is getting interviewed after her extended break, Miyako falls asleep on the couch, and Aqua uses this opportunity to turn on the TV to watch Ai. Behind the scenes, the production crew members gossip about the girl group's abilities, considering them average at best. At the same time, Ichigo confirms that in the entertainment industry, lies and self-interest are all hidden behind smiles. Everyone will lie to get the best results, but he believes Ai will survive, because she is the best liar. Watching his mother's performance, Aqua can't help but feel grateful to the one that killed him, as he gets to watch her from up close. Ruby then wakes up, and she quickly rushes over to watch as well, fangirling over Ai. She gets upset Aqua didn't wake her up, but he tells her he's tried many times. In a flashback, Aqua one night finds Ruby responding to hateful comments about Ai, and he wonders if they share the same fate of reincarnation after death. In an unknown location, Aqua's killer is furious that Ai lied to her fans and got pregnant. The next day, after Ai takes the time to feed Aqua and Ruby according to their preferred method, she has to leave with Ichigo for work. Miyako responds to Ruby's cries, but while changing her diapers, laments how much she hates her current position as a babysitter. Ruby seems to think she should be honored to serve Ai, but she's a bit biased. Miyako starts to consider selling the story of Ai having children to the press, but at that moment, the siblings team up to pretend to be divine messengers to prevent her from involving the media. Miyako is skeptical, initially believing it's a hidden camera prank as she refuses to believe babies are talking to her. But Ruby tells her that Ai is God's chosen, and if she keeps the secret, a chance for a second marriage with a handsome actor isn't out of the question. She happily agrees to her offer, and Aqua praises Ruby's ability to act and asks if she was in theater in her previous life. She denies it, instead revealing that she grew up in an unusual environment. While Ruby sleeps, Aqua reflects on how similar Ruby's passion for Ai was to Serena's, and subconsciously calls her name, waking Ruby. She thought he called out to her, but at his denial, she leaves, but she confirms that she is indeed Serena. Several months later, Komachi's rise to success did not happen, and Ai gets frustrated with her low salary. Although she enjoys working as an idol, she desires to provide opportunities for her children by sending them to good schools, but as it is, she feels she can't give them happiness. Aqua informs the ignorant Ruby of the reality of how hard it is for idols to get decent pay, but he does agree that Ai isn't making as much as she should, given her looks and talent. They vent their frustrations to Miyako and argue Ai should be given more jobs, but she explains it's difficult for idol groups to find jobs in the market as solo entertainers. If Ai were to leave her current group, she might struggle to find work on her own. To be successful, she needs to be able to compete on her own, a job that specifically requests Ai. At practice, a Ai goes ego surfing, but she discovers some negative comments from fans. Later, Miyako is forced to take Ruby and Aqua to Ai's concert at their insistence. She tells them to behave and stay quiet to not attract any attention. Aqua agrees with her, but Ruby defends she only wants to support their mom, since she's been down lately. While performing, the crude comment from earlier distracts Ai, but upon seeing her children cheering for her, it washes away her depression. Later, Miyako finds out someone posted a viral video of the kids' excitement, and she gets in trouble with Ichigo. The commenter from earlier is a fan of Ai's genuine smile, and she decides to remember that expression for future reference. It has been a year since the viral incident involving Ruby and Aqua at Ai's performance, where Ai learned how to give a genuine smile. The children have reached an age where it's no longer suspicious for them to walk and talk, so Ruby likes to take advantage of it and frequently has Ai pamper her. She uses a difficult phrase to describe her bliss, and it makes Ai suspect that her children are geniuses. Must be genetic. Ai has gradually picked up various gigs and gained an opportunity to appear as a character on a TV drama series. Miyako drives them to the set, but cautions the kids not to call Ai Mom. Upon arrival, the director seems to have issues with the children, but he decided to let it pass. They get doted on by the crew and cast, but Aqua quietly heads out, only to bump into the director. He warns him to not cause any trouble, and Aqua hastily replies they will stay out of the way in a very sophisticated manner in his panic. The director demands to know where he's learned to speak like that, and Aqua blames it on YouTube. His interest in Aqua has peaked, and suggests he would be a great actor. He gives him his business card and offers to put him in something, but Aqua would rather he give more work to Ai. The director states she certainly has the looks, but she'll need a lot of luck to make it in the industry. He explains that there are 3 types of actors: the stars that attract the audience, the talents that ensure the quality of the production, and the newcomers that bring something fresh to the screens. I may be a first-class idol, but she might not necessarily succeed in the film industry. Watching I act her part, the director admits that while her acting is average, she's able to attract one's attention. I later likens the experience to filming a music video, saying she only needs to act cute for the camera. They watched the show upon its release, but noticed nearly all of Ai's key moments were cut. While I wonders if her acting was bad, Aqua calls the director. He demands to know why I had so little screen time. The director admits that her scenes came out great, but Ai's looks outshined the protagonists. Therefore, word came down from the company to cut her out as much as possible. He tells Aqua to take it as an unexpected misfortune and advises him to not have any illusions about the entertainment industry. Instead, the director would like to offer her another job, but on the condition that Aqua appears in it. At the film site, the director shares how casting authority and bartering works in the industry. And Miyako confirms afterwards that Aqua is now a part of Strawberry Productions as a talent. He comments that Ruby would likely be a better choice for acting, but the director wants Aqua. Later, Ruby creates a ruckus and cries about being separated from Ai while she's busy filming. Aqua wonders why Ruby acts so childishly, considering she's also reincarnated like him. A young actress named Kana then interrupts them, telling them to pipe down. She complains that Aqua and I got in through connections, and shouldn't be a part of the film. Kana assumes from Ai's little screen time prior that her acting is likely horrible, and ends up angering Ruby and Aqua. He and Kana assume the role of eerie children a woman encounters in a forest, and Aqua decides to act as he usually does to appeal to the director's intent. The actress later compliments how well he did. At the same time, Kana approaches the director, wanting to reshoot the scene because she felt she wasn't as good as Aqua. While Kana gets comforted by others, the director tells Aqua that communication skills are vital to be successful in the industry. He confirms that Aqua's scene was just as he had envisioned. Aqua feels Kana did better, but the director argues that Aqua read through his intentions, which is a crucial part of communication. He hopes Aqua will succeed as an actor, but he doesn't want to act. On her way home, Kana finds Aqua's name and declares she'll definitely surpass him. It's now been 3 years since he was reborn as Ai's child, and the film he was a part of was well received by the public. He feels he did fairly well, but concludes Ai carried the film. With its success, it opened the opportunity for Ai to receive more work, and she has now become an up-and-coming media personality. Ai is now nearly 20, but they have been able to go about their daily lives without being uncovered by the public. They've now enrolled in preschool, and Aqua curiously asks Ruby about her age in her former life. Not wanting to be looked down on, Ruby lies and says she was an adult woman. He reflects that compared to his previous life, life as a toddler is much less demanding and easy. Their teacher plans to have them prepare a dance routine for their families to watch, but Ruby refuses to participate. At Aqua's questioning, she reveals she was a terrible dancer in her previous life, but he advises her that she shouldn't dwell on the past. Ruby tries practicing dance at home but fails. Seeing her struggle, Ai offers to help her. Watching Ai practice, Ruby points out she's made a mistake in the choreography. She falls over while trying to demonstrate, and she recalls how she always fell in her previous life while attempting to imitate Ai. But Ai encourages her to be more confident while she moves, and Ruby finally lets go of her past fears and dances freely. Aqua spies on her while she practices, and realizes Ruby's potential to follow Ai's footsteps. Meanwhile, Ai secretly reaches out to her children's father. She asks if he'd like to meet them, admitting she's called only due to overhearing a conversation her children were having, and shares their address with him. She then visits Ichigo and Miyako in their home with the children. On the news, a broadcaster announces Ai's TV drama reaching peak viewership, and Ichigo is excited at Komachi's success, especially since they will soon be performing at a dome. At Ai's confusion, Miyako explains why the dome is such a big deal to the agency. To avoid any scandals, Ichigo warns Ai to not meet the children's father. Of course, Ai lies by saying she won't, and she narrates that she is a chronic liar that can't even distinguish her real feelings from lies. She recalls her first meeting with Ichigo, who was scouting her to be an idol. I tells him that her mother was a criminal who abandoned her since young, and since she has no understanding of love, insists she wouldn't make it as an idol. I sees idols as pure beings who can smile and spread happiness to others. She feels she wouldn't fit the business given she'd be lying to herself and others, but Ichigo disagrees, saying it's a key skill to have in the industry. She became an idol hoping that, by lying about her love, that lie might one day come true. She became a mother in hopes of learning to love her children, but she's been unable to tell them she loves them, because she's afraid she'd be lying to herself. On the day of her concert, they hear the doorbell ring, and Ai opens the door. The stalker that killed the doctor stabs Ai in the abdomen, and her life flashes before her eyes. Aqua opens the door, and gets shocked seeing the large splatter of blood on the ground. The man yells at her for betraying her fans by having kids and lying to their faces about loving them. Ai confesses that she is a liar with many faults, but she truly did want to show her fans love. The man doesn't think she even remembers him, but she acknowledges him by his name, Ryosuke, and shares that his gift back then really made her happy. In anguish, he flees the scene, and Aqua urgently calls for help. He realizes her injury is fatal, and Ai also thinks it's the end for her. In her last moments, Ai shares her hope to have performed with Ruby on the stage together, and have Aqua be a successful actor. She wonders how they will grow up to be, and regrets she won't be there to see it happen. Ai tells Ruby and Aqua that she loves them, stating with relief these words definitely weren't a lie. The news of Ai's passing spreads, and the man responsible soon after committed suicide. The reaction to her death was mixed. While some grieved at her passing, others used it as an opportunity to grab attention. Reading people's hurtful comments about Ai, Ruby gets furious at the hypocritical society toward idols and rages. Only 3 days have passed since then, but society has already moved on from Ai's death. Ichigo and Miyako transferred Ruby and Aqua to their family register. Miyako wishes to accept them as her children, and while she can never replace Ai, would like to raise them as her own. Taking Ai's last words into consideration, Ruby wonders if she has what it takes to be an idol. But Aqua suggests something else, as idols are always under scrutiny from the public. He knows Ruby can bounce back, but he doesn't feel he can move on. He realizes that the stalker by himself is incapable of finding the locations of the hospital and their residents, so someone had to have given him the information. It had to have been someone close to her, but she didn't have many intimate relationships, so he deduces their father is the culprit. With how narrow her social circle is, he is likely also someone in the entertainment industry. Aqua vows retribution on his father for what he did, promising to kill him with his own hands. He then approaches the director and asks to be raised by him as his mentor. Several years have passed, and the siblings prepare to leave for school. Thus begins the story of revenge. One day, an advertisement presents itself on the city square for a large-scale idol recruitment project. This catches the attention of Ruby, and she decides to take part in the audition to follow her dreams and become an idol. The advertisement draws in many people, with the total number of applicants surpassing 136,000. The screening begins with a written application, where Ruby writes about her love for idols and what kind of idol she aspires to be. She then attaches a photo of herself to present to the reviewer. She successfully passes, being one of nearly 1,300 applicants left in the screening. The next phase consists of a live interview with recruiters. The passing rate for this portion is about 1 in 13 people, but nonetheless, Ruby does her best to showcase herself, and all that's left is to wait for the results. At her middle school, Ruby tells her friends about how she didn't meet the requirements to apply last recruitment and had to wait 2 years for this current audition. Her friends support her as well, complimenting her looks and dance skills, though her singing is a bit lacking. Regardless, Ruby confidently states she'll definitely succeed in the audition, wishing to become a top-tier idol like her late mother once was. On her way home, she reveals 2 secrets she cannot share with anyone, not even her friends. One is that her mother is the legendary idol, Ai, who was killed by her fanatical stalker 10 years ago. The second is that she retains memories of her past life. She was of poor health and spent most of her life in the hospital. Despite the bleak conditions, she found joy following an idol group, the Komachi, and their center, I. Even in her last moments, I's singing continued to echo through her mind. However, when she woke up, she had been reborn as I's child. Those few years she got to spend together with I were among her most precious memories, which is why she's determined to follow in her footsteps. Aqua interrupts her fantasy, stating that she should be focusing on her high school entrance exams. Ruby, however, utters that academics isn't important for performing arts school, so she doesn't need to study. Aqua doesn't agree with this train of thought, stating she shouldn't gamble her life on becoming an idol. The reality of it is that their salaries are low, and they typically retire before 30, and are under constant scrutiny by the public. Only a small percentage survive the industry, and many end up taking another line of work, so he wishes Ruby would wake up from her illusions. This only seems to anger her as she recalls her past life helplessly rotting away in the hospital. Ruby argues that life is about doing the things you want to do and refuses to listen. Having failed to convince her, Aqua tells Ruby that he's heading to the director's place. As he leaves the house, Ruby reflects that Aqua drastically changed ever since the death of their mother. He always has a gloomy expression, and he seems to be up to something after becoming the director's apprentice, but he's unwilling to share what it is. This isn't the only change that occurred. Ever since the incident, Ichigo had also fallen out of contact, and Miyako ended up taking over the agency in his place. The Komachi, having lost their star, also disbanded 2 years later. Strawberry Productions has now shifted from the idol industry and instead manages internet personalities. Ruby wishes for the agency to create an idol group, but this isn't an easy task. Miyako wishes she could, but it's hard to imitate the success I had shown, as it takes tons of luck, and such miracles would not happen twice. Ruby's already applied to be an idol in a different agency, so if she makes it, she would be better taken care of there anyways. Suddenly, a call from the audition comes, and Ruby nervously picks up and talks with the staff. The light in the eyes disappears as she learns she wasn't selected, and breaks down in tears as Miyako tries to comfort her. Unbeknownst to her, the man on the other side was her brother. With a favor from the director, Aqua was able to fake her rejection while he silently withdrew Ruby from the audition entirely. Just in case, he made sure to block their numbers on her phone as well. The director doesn't mind helping, but he questions why Aqua would go to such lengths to crush his sister's dreams. Aqua declares that he won't ever let her become an idol, never wanting her to end up like I. The director muses he's a bit overprotective, but Aqua doesn't want his sister to get caught up in his revenge. One day, while walking the streets, Ruby gets scouted by an agent for an underground idol group. She shares the happy news with her family, stating it must be fate guiding her, as I was also scouted to be an idol. Aqua and Miyako are surprised by this, but they worry more about the legitimacy of the group. At the agency, Aqua looks for a way to stop Ruby from joining. He asks to borrow the agency's business card, and later walks up to a girl coming out of a building. He pretends to be a scout from the agency, and lures her back to the office. The girl he approached is part of the agency which recruited Ruby, so he pretends to be recruiting her while collecting information about their work conditions. He learns that the manager has heavy favoritism towards one girl as they are dating. The girl in question also likes to steal other members' fans by kissing up to them. She knows that she won't find success there, as the management is trash, and the work atmosphere is also awful. Members are ready to quit, which is likely why the manager is scouting like crazy. Afterwards, Miyako explains this is quite common among underground idol groups, but what the girl said might not be the truth. Regardless, Aqua refuses to let Ruby join such a group with bad rumors, and considers spreading dirt to have them disband. The day for Ruby's signing arrived, and after dressing up, asks for everyone's opinion. Miyako compliments her, but questions if she's truly prepared to enter the industry, as she kindly explains the stressful aspects of being an idol. But this does not deter Ruby, as she declares she wants to be like her mom. Hearing her resolve, Miyako stands up and tells her that she shouldn't join that agency. Ruby starts to tear up, thinking they are denying her dream, but Miyako asks her to join their agency instead, as Strawberry Productions is forming a new idol group for the first time in over a decade. She has Ruby stamp the contract and welcomes her into the agency. Aqua seems displeased, but he puts up with it and goes to visit the director again. Entering his room, Aqua starts to work on some video editing. He wants to build work experience, so he works under the pretense of being the director's apprentice. They discuss Ruby as well, and the director is surprised to know she's in the idol industry now. While reluctant, Aqua would rather she be in their agency than some other shady place. The director assumes both of them are working to be entertainers, but Aqua clarifies he'd rather work behind the scenes. Being an actor is merely a means to an end. He plans to find his father and give retribution for the pain I suffered. He wishes to identify him via DNA testing, as there should be a 50% match with his. In order to do so, he needs to secure a position where he can come into contact with entertainers, so the most direct route would have been to become an actor. However, after working in many minor roles, Aqua concludes that he has no talent for acting, stating he lacks the ability to attract attention like I did. Which was why he's decided to work behind the scenes instead, stating it's pointless to hold on to goals that are beyond your means. The director disagrees, stating kids have the right to dream, and he goes deeper to declare everyone has the right to dream. After all, you can't win the lottery if you don't even buy a ticket. Aqua feels that he'll never be like I, but the director gets annoyed at his obsession for her, stating Aqua is Aqua, and I is I. Everyone is unique, and the director encourages Aqua to not give up after a setback, knowing deep inside that he wants to be an actor. Their deep moment is interrupted by the director's mother, who intrudes to inform them dinner is ready. The siblings have applied to enter a special high school with a performing arts department. He along with Ruby are there for an interview, and they are confident in their chances of being accepted. While they talk, a girl passing by overhears Ruby call him Aqua. It was Arima Kana, the girl who once acted together with him, and she gets excited to meet him again. She assumes he joined the performing arts department, but is shocked to learn Aqua instead joined general education. Ruby is the one joining the performing arts, and Aqua only followed after out of concern for her. Ruby whispers how much she dislikes Kana, but she really isn't trying to cover her voice, so her greeting only works to irritate her. Aqua excuses himself and leaves, but Kana follows after him, pestering him with questions about his situation to get to know him better. She thought he still does acting, but is saddened by his denial. He continues his walk, but Kana insists they go somewhere private to chat, even resorting to inviting him to her own room. She doesn't have much choice as she wants to be careful with her public image as a celebrity. Catching on, Aqua invites her to the director's place. The director's offhand comment that he hadn't seen her in a while stabs at her ego. While Aqua works, Kana asks why he continues to visit the director, if not for learning acting skills. He admits that while he was taught the basics, he'd rather work behind the scenes as his assistant. Regardless, she is relieved to hear that Aqua is still in the industry. While eating dinner together, Kana jabs at the director, stating she's surprised he still leeches off his parents. Unlike him, her parents have retired to the countryside, and she lives by herself eating takeout. It ought to be fairly costly, but Kana has tons of savings from her time as a child actor, so she doesn't mind. The topic shifts to Aqua, and Kana asks the director for some past videos of his acting, but Aqua interferes, stating he realized he has no talent for acting, and refuses to relive the memories of it. If she wants to see him act, she'd have to convince him into it. Challenge accepted. Kana playfully explains she's the female lead in a project that currently has unfilled roles, and offers to ask the producer to give Aqua a spot. It's a drama based on a shoujo manga called I'll Go With Sweet Today, and Aqua recognizes the title. Feeling his interest, Kana scoots closer and tries to sell him a position, mentioning that the producer, Masaya, has a soft spot for her. His name immediately catches his attention. In a flashback, Aqua gathered together the 3 phones I left behind to investigate their use and contacts. Of them, only one was used prior to her becoming pregnant. He had to search hard for a usable battery for this old phone model, but the real challenge was figuring out her passcode. For a long time, he would spend any free time he had guessing, until one day, 4 years later, he finally cracked the code. This phone contained emails and phone numbers of dozens of people within the entertainment circle, and among them is the producer, Masaya. Kana is rambling on about the cute appearance of the male lead, and Aqua blurts out that he wants in, creating some strange misunderstandings about his sexuality. She's excited to see him act, and immediately contacts the producer to recommend Aqua, and he allows it as a favor to her. In reality, he doesn't care who gets the role. Later, Ruby is surprised to learn that Aqua will star in a TV drama, and is reminded of Ai's final words to them, that she looked forward to him becoming an actor. But he doesn't have such lofty ambitions, only seeking to collect DNA from those Ai interacted with. Ruby recognizes the manga the show's based on, and Miyako explains that Aqua will play the villain in the final episode. Ruby thinks he fits his role perfectly, stating he does have a sinister-looking face. The girls decide to watch some of the released episodes, but the terrible acting from the cast leaves much to be desired. At Ruby's blunt criticism at the horrendous film, Miyako explains it's likely the actors are only there to be promoted. Kana is informed about their discussion, and she gets furious at Ruby's criticisms. She ruefully explains that the show is meant to target the female demographic, which is why it features talentless models that companies want to promote. But to balance that out, Kana, a well-known actress, was cast as a lead. To not overshadow her co-stars, she has no choice but to hold back and match their terrible acting. The show is purely for sales, ruining the quality of the story. Remembering the look of utter disappointment the author had when she visited the set, Kana hopes to make the show watchable, even at the cost of her reputation. To her, communication skills are more important, reflecting that her egotistical behavior as a child made her quickly fall out of favor as an actress, and she had to slowly climb back up. Her learning to be more flexible is what got her her current role, though Kana also boasts her looks wouldn't lose to any models. With that said, she informs him of the cramped production schedule and hands him the script. Kana finally understands why the director recruited Aqua into his film all those years ago, and pleads with Aqua to help her make a good show together. Reviewing the script with the film, he notes that the production crew and Kana have truly done their best to make the show bearable, despite the bad acting. With a quality crew and an immensely talented actress, Aqua feels there's still a chance to make it shine. On the day of filming, Kana informs him that due to budget and time restraints, they only get one practice run prior to the actual shooting. The show's male lead, Melt Narashima, greets Kana while complaining about filming in bad weather. She introduces Aqua to him, but Melt rudely dismisses and walks past him. She consoles Aqua, saying arrogance is common among rising stars, and she ends up bashing on her past self. When she notices the producer's approach, Kana pushes Aqua to him, and he quickly introduces himself. Watching Masaya walk away, Aqua is intent on learning about his relationship with Ai, looking for a chance to collect a DNA sample from him. Rehearsal is about to begin, and Aqua ironically plays the role of a stalker, the cause of Ai's death. They proceed to go through the scene, but it gets interrupted midway when a drop of water falls on Melt's face. During their break, Kana compliments Aqua's acting, but he brushes it off as something anyone can achieve with practice. Regardless, Kana recognizes his acting as one built over a long period of practice, and sincerely appreciates it. It's her first big role in over a decade, so she wants to give it her all. People gossip that she has stopped acting, but in reality, she was still training hard behind the scenes. The thought of giving up crossed her mind many times, but she finally feels her efforts are starting to pay off, and is glad she didn't quit. In that line of thought, she is happy to see Aqua still working as well, finding solace that someone has also been struggling alongside her in this industry. While on break, Masaya and a staff member are having a discussion outside. Aqua was also there, hidden from view, waiting. The staff informs Masaya that Kana has been helping around a lot, and he reflects that she is someone convenient to have around. She is always flattering others, so he considers Kana a pushover that will be happy with any given role. In addition, she is a freelancer without an agency, but her name is well known, so not only is she cheap to hire, but they can leverage her fame as easy promotion. As he collects the cigarette stub left behind, Aqua pities Kana, who isn't recognized for her earnest efforts. But since he's here on a job, he decides to support her and go all out. As the crew prepares to start filming, Aqua takes a look around the set. He notes each actor's starting position, environmental factor, camera, and lighting to envision the scene. Filming has resumed, and as the camera rolls, Kana ponders her rise and decline as an actress. She, who was once called a genius child actor, gradually lost popularity with the public and had already faded into the background by grade school. Regardless, she desperately clung to the industry and finally landed a leading role, so she desperately wants to make this performance count. Unfortunately, the previous episodes weren't highly regarded, full of terrible acting, leaving many viewers disappointed. However, the most famous scene in the manga is coming up, so Kana wishes to harmonize with her co-star to create the best performance. But Melt's lousy acting makes it impossible for that to happen. She despairs as no one seems to care about the quality. Aqua enters the scene, creating a dark ambience as his footsteps in the puddles echo. Unlike his mediocre showing during rehearsal, Kana notes Aqua completely embodies his character. He knows that he doesn't have the charisma and skill I once had to draw an attention, so he uses everything, including the actors, as tools to elevate his performance. Aqua walks next to Melt and whispers that he looks much uglier up close, drawing in his anger, and flawlessly uses it to capture the tension of the scene, perfectly emulating that of the manga. It derails from what was originally planned, but the director takes a liking to his improvisation and continues to film. One skill Aqua excels in is understanding the author's intent, so he uses it to set the stage and let Kana shine. Becoming one with his inner stalker, he quickly rushes to Kana and prepares to stab her, but gets knocked down by Melt. In sharp contrast to his frightening, disgusting stalker cast in darkness, Kana embodies the naive but kind, pure light, creating a perfect scene for the film. After the shoot, Melt comes over to apologize to Aqua for punching him, but he is nonchalant about it, as he purposely got hit to draw out more emotion into his acting. The film staff has their own discussion about how Aqua's improv created more work for them, but the director doesn't mind, quite satisfied with the results, and he assumes Kana will also be happy with it. He calls Kana over to record the final scene, which concludes the film. In another location, the manga author is woken up by her assistant, and they begin their day working on her manga series. The author tunes in to watch the new episode of Sweet today, and her assistants discuss how they have given up on the show, upset that it made a mockery of their efforts. She recalls talking with other manga authors who warn her to not have high expectations about adaptations, as most leave the creators dejected. But she was just thankful people wanted to create a film of her story. Watching the conclusion to the drama, she declares she's glad her work got an adaptation. By the last episode of the show, only hardcore fans remain to watch, but they unanimously agree that the final episode was a masterpiece, lamenting that the quality wasn't like this from the beginning. To celebrate the show's conclusion, a banquet is held for everyone. Aqua notes how many people were involved in its production, and Kana explains many people's jobs right on their performance and reiterates they can't be involved in any scandals. On that note, she asks him if he has a girlfriend, which he denies. The manga author approaches Kana and thanks her for doing her best, only regretting that the show didn't turn out better sooner. Masaya then greets Aqua, complimenting him. Aqua reveals that the cigarette butts he collected previously were tested, but the results show that they are not related. Observing from up close, he comments Aqua shares a resemblance to I, and Aqua then asks to know about what kind of relationship he had with her. Masaya acted as an intermediary for modeling jobs, so he introduced her to some clients, and later gave her some restaurant recommendations for secret meetups with a guy she kept hidden from her agency. This catches Aqua's attention, and his avid interest makes Masaya conclude Aqua is I's fan. He doesn't mind sharing, but wants something in exchange, asking Aqua to join a reality dating show. It's another day, and Aqua rushes Ruby to head for school. Before leaving, Ruby makes sure to say her goodbye to their mother. They are now official students of Yodo High School, and Kana appears to congratulate Aqua on his entrance. She then gives them a rundown of the school's operations, explaining that the class schedule is much more flexible than other schools. In addition, the student body consists of many entertainers and celebrities, and she welcomes them to the world of show business. Ruby is nervous, but Kana tells her to act normal, as this place is meant to be a regular school. She enters her class, and immediately is drawn to everyone's beautiful appearance, and nervously sits down. Her eyes shift to the giant plot of the girl next to her, but the girl is also attracted to Ruby's pretty face. She introduces herself as Kotobuki Minami, and Ruby finds out she's a gravure model. She is fascinated by her G-rated plot, and they somehow manage to become friends. Ruby proudly introduces her to Aqua, and she questions if he's made any friends as well. He didn't come with the intent to make friends, but Ruby concludes he is unable to make any, and feeling pity, asks Minami to be friends with Aqua as well. Irritated, he tells her to worry about herself, as they are in a special environment. Minami gets nervous knowing everyone around her is a pro, but Ruby reassures her, stealing Kana's earlier words and advising her to act normally, as it's just a regular school. Aqua agrees, as while many of the students are good-looking, most of them aren't exactly well-known, so there really isn't any need to be tense. But Ruby shares that there was this one student in her class that stood out. A girl enters the room during class and apologizes for her tardiness, explaining she was on live television for a promotion. She was instantly recognized as Shiranui Frill by Ruby, and she passionately talks about how multi-talented she is as an entertainer. Aqua is surprised by her deep infatuation with her, and he seems disinterested, stating I will forever be his number one. They suddenly see Frill walking a distance away, and Aqua takes the initiative to greet her, requesting that she get along with his sister Ruby, who is in the same class. Frill recognizes Aqua as part of the cast in Sweet Today, stating she watched and enjoyed his acting. She also recognizes Minami as a cover girl on a magazine. However, she doesn't recognize Ruby, and apologizes as she asks what she does. Ruby was unable to answer her, and tearfully asks Miyako to quickly make her an idol. However, making a group is a tedious process, and Miyako tells her not to rush her. Ruby is afraid her classmates will gossip about her not being in the entertainment industry and ostracize her. It requires scouting for potential members, and Ruby recommends Minami, who has a large plot, but she's someone attached to an agency. They would ideally recruit a freelancer. Hearing this, Aqua gives his recommendation. A freelancer who has little work despite being well known, and has a pretty face. Ruby then stalks Kana to see if she fits the qualities needed to become an idol. With her glossy hair, innocent baby face, and airheaded personality, Ruby concludes she has what it takes to be popular. Aqua suggests she try asking her, but Ruby hesitates because they don't have the friendliest of relations. This is likely due to her always getting her nickname wrong, which irks Kana. Aqua decided to contact her anyways, and tells Ruby to at least try to get along. Kana is on her phone reading comments about the drama finale, and is pleased to be complimented by viewers about her acting. She sees a comment that has mixed feelings about Aqua, because while he looks handsome, his acting was rather creepy and repulsive. While deep in thought, a message from Aqua asks for them to meet up, which surprises her. She prepares herself for the meeting, wondering what he might say to her, but is immediately disgusted upon seeing Ruby also there. Upon finding out it's Ruby that wants to talk, Kana tells her to hurry up because she's busy. She sincerely asks Kana to become an idol with her, informing her that her agency is looking for members to form an idol group, and that Ruby wants to scout her. Kana asks for time to consider, but she inwardly refuses, stating she'll lose out on jobs reserved for young actors. There's a lot of risk to her image by becoming an idol, but with that said, she sees potential in Ruby to becoming successful, finding her similar to Ai. Just as she was about to say no, Aqua gets on his knee to request she help Ruby, showering her with praise on her looks and abilities. Kana wanted to refuse, but his constant buttering up eventually ended with her signing a contract with the agency, making her question her life choices. To Miyako's surprise that she would join, Aqua bluntly states Kana is easy to read, and she is incredibly susceptible to pushiness. By constantly pleading with her, she would eventually give in. How manipulative. Kana is hesitant about the job, but she tries to remain positive, believing that by being in the same agency as Aqua, she would have more chances to work together with him. She asks if he has his next job lined up, and Ruby shows her a promotional video of the dating show, My Love with a Star Begins Now. It showcases the 6 cast members, all high school students, who are from a variety of entertainment fields from modeling, dancing, acting, music, and streaming, who gather together to get to know each other more and eventually form couples. Upon seeing Aqua's cheery personality, the girls get shocked and irritated by his obvious fake persona. They are very upset seeing him act bashful with other girls, and criticize him harshly, but Miyako reminds them that it's just a show, and that he is likely portraying himself in a way the public would enjoy. With this kind of show, Aqua might end up dating and kissing one of the female cast members, if only to keep up appearances. And this fact upsets Kana greatly, as she wonders why he would participate in such a project, but Miyako reminds her that as an actress, she would eventually commit to such actions as well. There is no room for chastity in this industry. At the film site, Aqua and Memcho are having a chat about her dog, but he inwardly feels repulsed by the format of the show, wondering how he ended up agreeing to take part in it. But remembering his deal with Masaya to get more insider scoop on Ai, and her relationships with guys, he motivates himself to continue, desperate for a lead to find his father. On the show, the cast is free to converse with each other, however, they need to be mindful of the camera angles, and are requested to summarize their earlier chat if a camera approaches them. One thing to note is that reality shows don't have a script, but they do feature directing. Whether the cast takes it as advice or as a command is up to their own discretion. Aqua's co-star Yuki vents her own grievances with the production style to him, stating she's timid and unskilled in conversations, worried that the public will overlook her. Her reasons for joining are linked to her agency, whose public face has a policy to not turn down any jobs, which leaves Yuki without any work. This is her opportunity to shine, and it's a plus that she has a chance to be in a romantic relationship, which she's never experienced before. She asks if Aqua is interested in romance, but he admits it's complicated, explaining he's stuck on a past love. Yuki encourages him to move on, and tells him that the couple from the previous season ended the show with a kiss. She whispers that she wouldn't mind kissing if it was with him. In reality, she was aware of the camera recording them and is hopeful that their moment would be used on the show. Realizing her cunning, Aqua concludes this is what it means to be on a reality TV show. Back at home, Ruby lectures Aqua that she has to approve of the girl he's dating, and recommends that he choose Yuki, assuming her to be a pure-hearted girl. Aqua bluntly tells her she sucks at judging people, and advises her to stay away from dating for a while. Everyone around Ruby is busy, with Frill and Minami having their own schedules, and Aqua with his shoot, so she asks Kana how she passes her time since she's used to not having any work. While irritated at her jab, Kana advises her to study in her free time, as it will benefit her to get into a good college. As an idol group, they have yet to release any songs, or have any media gigs prepared, nor do they have a name for the group. Kana is still in denial and hesitates to consider herself an idol, so Miyako suggests they start building a track record and make a name for themselves. In modern society, the heart of idol culture is online, so it'll be efficient if they build a following and invite them to future concerts. Kana feels Miyako is being too optimistic about doing well online, but she's forgotten that Strawberry Productions mainly manages streamers and excels in the online segment. Miyako had requested one of their internet personalities for help, and they are introduced to a muscular bird mascot named Piayan. He's a massed strength trainer that's very popular with the youth, but Kana finds it unbelievable and badmouths his career, initially pegging him as a pervert. He retorts that he earns 100 million yen a year, which immediately shuts her up. Piayan begins his lecture on how to gain subscribers, and informs them of his foolproof plan, dressing them up like himself. He begins filming a video for his channel, and states he is promoting an idol group formed by his agency. Piayan would have Ruby and Kana perform his signature dance, and if they can keep up for the next hour, he would let them reveal their faces. Kana is dying from exhaustion, and again questions her decisions. When they were initially planning the collaboration, Piayan suggested doing a prank video while they were sleeping. But Ruby didn't want to participate in such a video, because if she knew a prank was happening, her reaction wouldn't be genuine. She didn't want any lies in their work, so it led to their current situation. Surprisingly, they lasted past the hour, and Piayan has them each introduce themselves on camera. He commends their efforts, as he intended to edit the video to make it seem like they lasted an hour, but they danced till the end. Before he forgets, he asks what their group name is. And Kana leaves it to Ruby to decide, so she declares that their name will be Komachi. The teen cast members of Love Now gather around the classroom as Yuki admits to wanting to quit the show. People around her have been teasing her lately, criticizing aspects of her life, and the negative attention has become stressful. The others show their support, wanting to help her get through it together, and Kumano is even willing to quit if she leaves. But this all appears to be a part of the show's marketing, and Yuki excitedly brags to the cast how much attention she's gotten from it. In reality, she was exaggerating the truth with more flair. She does get teased, and she did think of quitting at one point, if only because they film so early in the morning, but it's an act to get more attention from viewers. Kumano then invites Aqua and the cast for dinner, stating Memcho will be buying. She denies offering to treat them, but at Kumano pointing out she's been earning a lot recently from her streams, she ends up pressured to buy dinner. While eating, Aqua observes that Akane is doing all the grilling for both of them. She insists on doing it because she is a vegetarian, so it's her policy to help out in these situations. Seeing her also take notes while listening to Memcho talking about what the audience likes to see, Aqua confirms that she's an earnest person. Back at home, Ruby vents her frustrations on Aqua about him enjoying good food by himself. They always ate dinner together on Sundays, but he's been unable to participate since filming started. Ruby is angry with how staged the show is, considering they always film on weekends, when the concept is supposed to be a gathering of friends after school. Aqua disagrees, however, happy that the show prioritizes letting them do their schoolwork, and lets the cast freely portray themselves the way they want to. She wonders if people truly fall in love in these shows, but it really depends on the person, some being serious about finding love, while others think it as a part of their job. Compared to what he initially thought reality shows would be like, he's surprised to know both the show and cast are less fake than he imagined. At his troubled look, Ruby questions what's wrong, and Aqua explains that lying is the best way to protect yourself. Later throughout the show, Yuki and Kumano became a couple, with Kengo as an onlooker, creating a love triangle situation to entice more viewers, eventually increasing popularity with the youth. While the cast sleeps in a van, Memcho asks why Aqua isn't partaking in the love quarrel among the trio, stating it'd get him more attention. But he'd rather play it safe and stick with Memcho until the show ends. Likewise, she is sticking with her airhead comforting persona, as her goal is to draw viewers to her streaming channel. She worries most about Akane, however, and we see that even off camera, Akane is very diligent with her work, always practicing to better herself. She walks in on her company's president yelling at her manager for Akane's disappointing lack of screen time on the show. He had chosen her to appear over others, and she is failing to meet his expectations. She apologizes to the manager, but he tells her not to worry, promising to be her shield. Blaming herself for being spineless, Akane promises to work hard and leave her mark. Elsewhere, Ruby wants to post her dislike for Isoda on Twitter, but Kana scolds her. She warns her that it's dangerous to call out branded goods online, as it might end any potential cooperation from that company if they find out. In the same vein, Kana questions if Ruby does any ego surfing, which she denies. Snatching away her phone, she immediately sees that Ruby has been looking herself up quite often, embarrassing her. Kana explains that they live in a society where online marketing is important, and tells Ruby that 9 out of 10 celebrities look themselves up. However, she warns that if you gaze long enough into an abyss, the abyss will gaze back into you. Akane reads the online comments, but learns that many people don't have much thought about her. Later on set, Aqua sees Memcho and Kango filming a video for the show's official TikTok and Twitter. They are using the platform to promote the show and ask Aqua to join as well, but he refuses. They see Akane approaching Yuki and Kumano, and she asks him to follow her. Many viewers look down on Akane, feeling she has no role in the show despite her efforts. Acting on the advice she's received from the director, Akane decided to play an aggressive role to stand as Yuki's rival for Kumano. Later, while Yuki does Akane's nails, Akane admits to wanting to stand out and leave her mark before the show's conclusion. But Yuki won't allow her to steal the spotlight away, telling Akane not to hold it against her. While she was talking to Kango, Yuki interrupted and pulled him away to show him something interesting. Remembering the people counting on her, Akane chases after them to stop Yuki, but she accidentally cuts Yuki's face in the process, something all caught on film. This flusters Akane immensely, but Yuki runs over and comforts her, telling her to calm down. Yuki recognizes that she's trying her best, and merely got lost in the moment. Akane apologizes for injuring her face, worried it might affect her job as a model, but Yuki is chill, stating Photoshop can easily fix it. The girls grow closer as they state their mutual respect for each other as a person, and make up with a hug, but the onlooking Aqua is skeptical the issue will simply end there. Unfortunately, the internet is flooded with negative criticism toward Akane, calling her a nuisance and telling her to get lost. Akane posts an apology in hopes of clearing the situation, but this only invites more insults from fans. She recalls Memcho discussing online criticism and her advice that apologizing is the worst tactic for combating it. It's essentially admitting you've done something wrong, which attracts more negative attention. The public doesn't believe Akane's sincerity, and she finds it hard to cope with the situation. Every moment of her day has become stressful, and at school, her classmates gossip constantly about her, justifying the online criticism by stating she always acted arrogantly. Despite her troubles, she hides it from her mom, not wanting to disappoint her. Her manager also advises that she not post anything online, as that would only fuel the flames. In a flashback to her past, we see Akane hard at work since young. She has diligently worked for her entire career, but the public around her only insults her as arrogant, cold, and fickle, not seeing past her mistakes. They believe what they see is just her facade, and are blind-eyed to the truth that she has always been trying her hardest. A comment from a longtime fan dropping their support for her is the last straw, and it devastates her. Everyone in the cast is worried about her, and she messages back that she'll go pick up some food. She quietly walks outside in the heavy storm, but at some point, Akane sits in the rain, blankly staring at the ground. Looking down at the busy roads, she reflects that she's tired of thinking, not wanting to think anymore. She leans off the bridge railings, but someone quickly pulls her back. It turns out to be Aqua, and he pleads for her to calm down.